Have you ever wondered why you always end up choosing people who can't give you what you really need? People who aren't emotionally available, who don't truly choose you, who give you crumbs instead of a fulfilling love. Why, no matter how hard you try, do you end up in the same painful pattern over and over again? Imagine this. You're kneeling before a dry well, begging for a drop of water. Your hands are cracked from digging, your throat parched from calling out. And although you know somewhere in your consciousness that this well will never give you what you need, you stay there day after day, hoping for a miracle that never comes. What unconscious impulse drives you, time and again, to seek water from wells you know are dry? Maybe you think it's bad luck, that the universe has conspired against you, or that you simply haven't found the right person. But what you don't know is that there's an ancestral wound within you making all those decisions for you. A wound that makes you confuse pain with love. Stay with me until the end, because today we are going to look directly at that shadow that has been controlling you from the depths of your unconscious. And when you finish watching this video, you will understand why you've been repeating the same pattern over and over, and most importantly, how to start breaking it from the root. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Today we stop calling it fate. Today we call it by its name, a wound that is asking to be healed. The first time I noticed this pattern in my own life, it was like a lightning flash illuminating a night sky. Suddenly, I could clearly see what was previously hidden in the darkness. It was as if all my loves had been cast from the same flawed mold. Men who could never be fully present, who always had one foot out of the relationship, who never fully chose me. And I, meanwhile, giving everything, justifying their absences, their dismissals, their crumbs of affection, as if they were treasures. You can feel it right now, can't you? That lump in your throat, that pressure in your chest when you remember that person you loved so much and who could never fully reciprocate. That familiar pain that has become your most faithful companion. And that's how I began to study depth psychology and the patterns of the unconscious. What I discovered changed my life forever, and I hope it changes yours too. Today I'm going to show you why you keep attracting people into your life who can't give you what you need, and most importantly, how you can free yourself from that destructive pattern forever. Because what you're about to discover isn't just simple self-help advice, it's a deep look into the mechanisms of your psyche, into those invisible forces that have been controlling you without your knowledge. It's a journey to the center of your ancestral wound, that place where love and pain merge, where the need to be loved becomes the willingness to accept anything that remotely resembles love. Are you ready to look that shadow in the eye? To face the truth about why you keep choosing those who don't choose you? I promise you that at the end of this path, you will find not only understanding, but also liberation. The possibility of loving and being loved from a place of fullness, not lack. The first thing you must understand is that these relationships you are attracting are not accidents. When Carl Jung spoke about the shadow, he referred to those parts of ourselves that we have rejected and pushed into the unconscious. And what's fascinating is that what we don't recognize in ourselves, we project onto others. But what's most revealing is that what we don't heal, we repeat over and over again, as if our unconscious were desperately trying to solve that emotional puzzle. Have you ever wondered why you keep choosing people who awaken that feeling of not being enough in you? Why do you keep trying so hard for someone to see you, value you, choose you? The answer may be painful, but also liberating. You are trying to repair a childhood wound. Have you noticed that your love story seems like an echo, a constant repetition of the same painful pattern? It's not a coincidence. It's your unconscious trying to resolve something much older than any of your current relationships. In depth psychology, one of the most revealing concepts is repetition compulsion. It's this unconscious drive that leads us to recreate painful situations from the past, especially those we couldn't resolve when they first occurred. Our psyche, in its infinite wisdom and also in its infinite confusion, believes that by repeating the situation, it can finally change the outcome. Think about the little girl you once were. Were there times when you felt your love wasn't enough? Times when you desperately tried to get the attention, affection, validation of your attachment figures? That little girl lives inside you, and her unhealed wounds are directing your adult love choices. In Jungian theory, each of us carries within an inner child who holds all the experiences, especially the painful ones, from our childhood. And that inner child continues to influence our adult decisions, especially in love. Think about this. If as a child you grew up feeling that you had to earn love, that you had to be perfect, to be worthy of attention and affection, what kind of love will you seek as an adult? Exactly. You will seek relationships where you have to constantly prove yourself, where love is not a gift but a conquest, where you have to earn it every day. And here comes the most revealing part. If you grew up with inconsistent attachment figures, parents who were sometimes emotionally present and other times completely absent, your brain became programmed to associate love with that intermittency, with that uncertainty. The problem is that we confuse intensity with intimacy, the emotional roller coaster with true love. Let me explain something fascinating about the human brain. When we experience inconsistent love in childhood, our brain develops a kind of addiction to that intermittency. It's like a slot machine. Unpredictable reinforcement generates a stronger response than constant reinforcement. In simple terms, what comes and goes creates more attachment than what is always present. That's why you feel so hopelessly drawn to people who can't give you constant, fulfilling love. That intermittency, that now yes, now no that causes you so much pain, is precisely what keeps the flame of hope and emotional addiction alive. Your brain is constantly searching for the next dose of attention or affection, however small. When we love from the wound, we seek people who reactivate that familiar feeling of not being enough. It's as if our unconscious tells us, this person emotionally resembles the one who hurt you in the past. If you can get them to love you, you will have repaired that original wound. It's a cruel mirage, because you can never heal a childhood wound through another person. Healing can only come from within yourself. Have you noticed that the people you choose to love have a similar pattern? Maybe they don't look alike physically, maybe their life circumstances are different, but emotionally they are variations on the same theme. People who cannot be fully present, who cannot fully commit, who always keep you in that painful uncertainty. Jung had a concept for this. He called them complexes. They are those clusters of emotions, memories, and patterns that form a kind of autonomous entity within our psyche. The abandonment complex is particularly powerful because it touches our most primary and vital need to feel safe, loved, and valued. When this complex is activated, it's as if a part of us takes control. Suddenly, that confident, independent woman you are in other areas of your life becomes a scared little girl desperate to please. It's as if your entire identity is reduced to a single question. Do you love me enough? Let me tell you something. That happened to me a few years ago. I was in a relationship with a man who had a clear pattern. He would get intensely close and then disappear for days. When he was present, he was wonderful, attentive, affectionate. When he pulled away, I felt like I was dying inside. And the most perverse thing is that I interpreted those withdrawals as signs that I wasn't good enough, interesting enough, valuable enough. And so, what did I do? I tried even harder. I became more understanding, more available, more perfect. Basically, I fell into the trap of trying to earn his love. Does that sound familiar? It's the classic pattern of those who love from the wound of abandonment. But one day, while studying Jung's work, I came across his concept of individuation, the process by which we become integrated individuals, recognizing and accepting all our parts, even those that hurt us. And I understood that my relationship was nothing more than a repetition of my original wound. I was unconsciously trying to resolve through this man what I couldn't resolve in my childhood. Jung said that what we don't bring to consciousness appears in our lives as fate. And I was living that fate over and over again, calling it love, when it was actually a wound desperately seeking to be seen and healed. And this is where we begin to understand your situation more deeply. That relationship you're in, or that series of relationships you've had where you never feel completely chosen, completely valued, are not the problem itself. They are the symptom. They are the fever indicating a deeper infection. The real infection is the belief rooted in the deepest part of your being, that you don't deserve to be fully loved, that love is something you have to earn, conquer, deserve through constant effort. That your value as a person is determined by someone else's ability to love you. These beliefs weren't born with you. They were installed through early experiences where the love you received was conditioned on your behavior, your performance, your ability to please others. Maybe you grew up with an emotionally absent father, or a mother who only valued you when you met her expectations. Maybe you experienced the literal or emotional abandonment of someone important in your life. Whatever the specific root, the result is the same: a deep wound that makes you confuse love with pain, struggle with passion, anxiety with true connection, and, the most painful part, is that this wound doesn't just affect your romantic relationships. It affects your entire being. It affects how you relate to yourself, how you value yourself, how you define your identity and your purpose in life. When you live from the wound of abandonment, you are in a constant state of hypervigilance. Like an animal in hostile territory, you are always alert, always looking for signs of danger, always prepared for the inevitable rejection or abandonment. It's exhausting to live like this, isn't it? Never being able to fully relax, never feeling truly secure in a relationship, and the saddest thing is that, in this state, even when you find someone who could love you fully, your wound doesn't recognize that love. It's like you speak a different language. The person is offering you stability, commitment, constant presence, but your wound only understands the language of intermittency, of struggle, of "I love you, but not too close." So unconsciously, you sabotage those possibilities. You push away those who choose you completely because they seem boring or lack spark. Or you attract precisely those people into your life who will confirm your deepest belief, that you are not worthy of full love. It's a devastating, vicious cycle, and the only way to break it is by making the unconscious conscious. Bringing to light those beliefs, those patterns, those wounds that have been directing your love life from the shadows. How do you know if you're loving from the wound? There are some revealing signs. You constantly feel anxious in your relationships, always worried that the other person will leave you or stop loving you. You find yourself giving much more than you receive, justifying behaviors that hurt you, lowering your standards to maintain the relationship. You confuse emotional intensity with the depth of love. Stable, secure relationships seem boring or lack spark to you. You are attracted to emotionally unavailable people, whether because they are in another relationship, because they fear commitment, or because they simply cannot offer constant emotional presence. You obsess over your relationships, analyzing every word, every gesture, every message, constantly seeking confirmation that you are loved. You feel like you have to earn love, that you have to be perfect, compliant, extraordinary to deserve being chosen. You stay in relationships that clearly don't satisfy you because the fear of loneliness is stronger than the pain of the relationship. If you identify with several of these signs, it's very likely that you are loving from your wound. But don't despair. Recognizing the pattern is the first step towards liberation, because here comes the most powerful part of this message. Your wound is not your destiny. The fact that you've been trapped in this pattern until now doesn't mean you have to continue this way for the rest of your life. Healing is possible. Transformation is possible. A new kind of love is possible. Jung had a beautiful concept: individuation. It's the process by which we become whole, integrated conscious beings. It's the journey of reclaiming all those parts of ourselves that we have rejected, repressed, or ignored. And in your case, it involves reclaiming your capacity to love and be loved from fullness, not from lack. Now that we understand the problem more deeply, let's explore how we can transform this painful dynamic. How can we heal the wound that makes us confuse love with pain, struggle with passion? The first step, and perhaps the most important, is to bring the wound into consciousness. As Jung said, what you resist persists. As long as you continue to ignore or deny your wound of abandonment, it will continue to control your love life from the shadows. But when you look at it directly, when you recognize it and name it, you begin to take away its power. This recognition is not just intellectual. It's not enough to say, yes, I have a fear of abandonment. It's necessary to connect with the emotion, with the primary pain at the root of that fear. It's necessary to allow yourself to fully feel what you may have been avoiding for years. The pain of not having felt loved enough, valued enough, important enough. Can you allow yourself to feel that pain now? Can you create a safe space within yourself to welcome that little girl who is still waiting to be seen, to be loved unconditionally? A powerful practice is conscious visualization. Close your eyes for a moment and visualize your inner child. How old is she? How does she feel? What does she need from you? Imagine hugging her, holding her, telling her all those words she has been waiting so long to hear. I see you, I'm here, I won't leave you. Your worth doesn't depend on what others think of you. You are worthy of love simply because you exist. This internal dialogue may seem simple, even trivial, but it is profoundly transformative. You are beginning to reparent your inner child, to give her what she didn't receive when she was actually a child. And in doing so, you are beginning to heal the original wound that has been influencing all your adult relationships. The second step is to recognize and challenge the limiting beliefs that have arisen from your wound. These beliefs operate like filters through which you perceive all your love experiences. Some of the most common are, I'm not enough, love is scarce, and I have to fight for it. I have to earn love. I don't deserve to be loved just for being who I am. If I show my needs, I will be abandoned. True love involves suffering and sacrifice. These beliefs are not facts. They are interpretations you made in moments of vulnerability, usually in childhood, to make sense of painful experiences. But they have been influencing all your love decisions without you realizing it. A powerful practice is to take inventory of these beliefs. Write them down. Examine them in the light of your adult wisdom. Ask yourself, is it really true that I'm not enough? Is it really true that love involves suffering? Where do these beliefs come from? Are they serving me or limiting me? And then, begin to formulate new beliefs that reflect the deeper truth about yourself and about love. I am worthy of full love simply because I exist. True love makes me feel safe, valued, and at peace. I don't need to earn love. I deserve to be chosen completely. My needs are important, and expressing them is an act of self-love. True love expands me. It doesn't diminish me. Repeating these new beliefs, meditating on them, writing them down every day, is a way to reprogram your conscious and unconscious mind. Over time, they will begin to feel truer than your old limiting beliefs. The third step is to practice radical self-love. This is perhaps the most powerful antidote to the wound of abandonment, because when you abandon yourself, when you ignore your needs, when you allow others to treat you less than you deserve, you are reenacting and reinforcing your original wound. Self-love is not selfishness. It's not narcissism. It's the deep recognition of your intrinsic worth as a human being. It's the commitment to honor your needs, your boundaries, your desires. It's the decision to treat yourself with the same compassion, respect, and love that you would offer someone you deeply love. How do you practice radical self-love? Start by paying attention to your internal dialogue. How do you talk to yourself? Are you your own worst critic or your best friend? Commit to transforming that internal dialogue, to speaking to yourself with the same sweetness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. Learn to identify and honor your needs. What do you need to feel safe, nurtured, supported? How can you give yourself what you are desperately seeking in others? Establish clear boundaries in your relationships. A boundary is not a threat or an ultimatum. It is simply a clear statement of what is acceptable to you and what is not. It is an act of self-love to say no to what harms you and yes to what nourishes you. Cultivate a rich and fulfilling life outside of your romantic relationships. Nurture your friendships, your passions, your interests. Remember that romantic love is only one of the many forms of love and connection that exist in life. And perhaps most importantly, practice the art of being alone. Not solitude as abandonment or isolation, but solitude as a sacred space where you meet yourself, where you listen deeply to yourself, where you reconnect with your essence beyond your relationships and roles. Jung said that loneliness does not come from having no people about one. but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important to oneself. When you learn to communicate with yourself, to listen to yourself, to validate your own experience, you discover that you are never truly alone. You are always in the company of yourself, which is the most important relationship you will ever have. The fourth step is to practice what I call loving from fullness, not from lack. This involves a fundamental shift in how you approach relationships. Instead of looking for someone to complete you, to fill your void, to heal your wound, you approach from a place of emotional self-sufficiency. This doesn't mean you don't need others. We are social beings designed for connection, but there is a fundamental difference between healthy interdependence and codependency. In interdependence, two whole individuals choose to share their lives. In codependency, two incomplete individuals try to complete each other. When you approach a relationship from fullness, you are not desperate to receive love. You are already full of love, the love you give yourself, and you simply wish to share that love with someone who is capable of receiving it and returning it in equal measure. This stance gives you tremendous clarity and power. You are no longer willing to settle for crumbs because you know what the full feast tastes like. You no longer confuse intensity with intimacy because you have experienced the deep peace of loving yourself. You no longer chase those who don't choose you because you have chosen yourself first. The fifth step is to heal your attachment patterns. Attachment is the way we learn to relate to others from early childhood. Based on our experiences with our primary caregivers, we developed an attachment style that can be secure or insecure, anxious, avoidant, or disorganized. If you have an anxious attachment style, you tend to constantly worry about your partner's emotional availability, fear abandonment, and seek constant reassurance. If you have an avoidant attachment style, you fear emotional intimacy, value your independence above all else, and distance yourself when relationships become too close. If you have a disorganized attachment style, you oscillate between anxiety and avoidance, sending mixed messages that confuse both you and your partner. The good news is that attachment patterns are not static. They can be modified through secure and reparative relationships, whether with a partner, a therapist, or even with yourself through conscious self-work. A powerful practice is to identify your attachment style and how it manifests in your relationships. What triggers you? What makes you feel secure or insecure? What behavioral patterns emerge when you feel emotionally threatened? Once you have identified these patterns, you can begin to respond differently. Instead of automatically reacting from your wound, you can pause, breathe, and choose a response more aligned with your true self and with what you truly desire in your relationships. The sixth step is learning to recognize and choose partners capable of healthy love. When you've been loving from the wound, you likely can't recognize what healthy love looks like. You've become so accustomed to the emotional roller coaster, the intermittency, the constant struggle, that a stable, secure relationship might seem boring or lacking spark. But true love isn't a roller coaster. It's more like a deep, steady, nourishing river. It doesn't destabilize you, it supports you. It doesn't make you doubt your worth. It confirms it. It doesn't keep you on edge. It gives you peace. Learn to recognize the signs of someone capable of healthy love, emotional consistency. They don't appear and disappear. They don't give you today what they'll take away tomorrow. Transparency and honesty. There are no emotional games, manipulation, or tactics to keep you hooked. Capacity for commitment. They don't run away when the relationship deepens. They are willing to do inner work to sustain the connection. Respect for your boundaries. They don't try to push you beyond what you're comfortable with. They respect your space and autonomy. Genuine. Interest in knowing you deeply. They aren't content with the superficial version of you. They want to understand your dreams, fears, wounds, hopes, and perhaps most importantly, they choose to be with you. Not halfway, not with 1 foot in and 1 foot out. They choose you completely, consistently, clearly. The seventh step, and perhaps the deepest, is to recognize that true love is not something you find outside yourself. It is something you cultivate within yourself and then share with another who has done the same inner work. Jung said that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. True love transforms you. It expands you. It challenges you to grow, to be more conscious, more compassionate, more authentic. But it cannot do so if you remain trapped in the unconscious recreation of your childhood wound. It cannot do so if you continue to confuse love with pain, struggle with passion, anxiety with connection. True love requires you to be willing to see and heal your own shadows, to be willing to recognize how your wound has been influencing your choices, how you have been unconsciously seeking to confirm your deepest beliefs about yourself and about love. And now, perhaps you're wondering, but is it really possible to completely transform my way of loving? Is it possible to free myself from patterns so ingrained, so old? The answer is a resounding yes. I have seen this transformation in myself and in countless women I have worked with. I have seen how a deep understanding of their wounds, combined with consistent practices of self-love and self-awareness, has completely changed their relationship with love. But there's something important you must understand. This transformation is not a one-time event. It's not something that happens overnight. It's a journey, a continuous process of awakening, healing, choosing differently over and over again. There will be days when your old patterns try to resurface, days when you feel the temptation to return to what's familiar, even if it's painful. Days when you doubt whether you truly deserve the full love you are working so hard for. On those days, remember this: your wound is not your destiny. Your past does not have to be your future. Every time you choose to respond from your adult wisdom instead of your childhood wound, you are creating new neural pathways, new patterns, a new love story for yourself. Jung said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Your wound of abandonment is part of what happened to you, but it does not define who you are or who you can become. Your capacity to love and be loved fully is intact beneath the layers of pain, fear, and limiting beliefs. And with every act of self-love, with every healthy boundary you set, with every limiting belief you challenge, you are uncovering that capacity, that light that has always been within you. We are reaching the most transformative part of this message, the point where everything we've explored converges into a powerful truth. When you stop chasing love and become love, everything changes. What does it mean to become love? It means recognizing that love is not primarily something you receive from others, but something you cultivate within yourself and then radiate out into the world. It's moving from a scarcity mindset, "There's not enough love for me," to an abundance mindset, "I am an inexhaustible source of love." When you become love, you are no longer begging for crumbs of affection or validation. You are no longer willing to settle for less than you deserve. You are no longer trying to manipulate or control others to give you something you feel you lack. Instead, you are fully present with what is, offering love from your fullness, not your lack. Setting clear boundaries when something doesn't resonate with your deepest truth. Recognizing that your worth doesn't depend on another's ability to see or value you. This state of being is magnetic. It naturally attracts those who are on a similar frequency, who have done their own inner work, who are ready for mature, conscious, transformative love. But the most beautiful thing is that even if you didn't attract anyone, you would still be whole. You would still be enough. You would still be worthy, because you would have discovered the most liberating truth of all, that the love you have sought so much outside already lives within you, waiting to be recognized, cultivated, expressed. As Jung said, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. And this awakening is what I am inviting you to experience today. An awakening to your own power, your own light, your own capacity to love and be loved from a place of fullness, not lack. Imagine what your life would be like if you were no longer operating from your wound of abandonment. If you were no longer interpreting every interaction through the filter of, "Will they abandon me again?" If you were no longer constantly trying to prove your worth, earn love, be enough. Imagine relating from a place of calm, inner security, confidence in your own value. Imagine being able to give and receive love freely, without fear, without control, without hidden agendas. This is the freedom that awaits you on the other side of your healing. This is the promise I want to leave you with today. Your wound is not your destiny. The pain you have experienced does not have to define your future love life. You can break the cycle of loving those who cannot fully love you. You can heal the wound that has kept you in painful and limiting patterns. And it's not just that you can, you deserve to. You deserve to experience the fullness of love, both the love you give yourself and the love you share with another who is equally committed to their own growth and healing. As Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The relationships you've had, however painful they may have been teachers. They have shown you where you need to heal, what beliefs you need to challenge, what parts of yourself you need to reclaim. Be grateful for those lessons, however hard they were, and then free yourself from the need to keep repeating them. You have already learned what those relationships came to teach you. You are ready for something new, something more aligned with your true essence, something that reflects not your wound, but your light. And the way to create this new chapter in your love story begins with a decision. A decision to no longer settle for less than you deserve, to no longer confuse pain with love, to no longer chase those who don't choose you, to choose yourself first and always. This decision is not a one-time event. It is a commitment you renew every day, every hour, every minute, through how you talk to yourself, how you honor your needs, how you respond when someone crosses your boundaries, how you choose who you share your energy, your time, your love with. It is a journey, not a destination. A journey back to yourself, to that essential part that has always known you are worthy of full love, that has never doubted your worth, that has never been afraid to claim what belongs to you by birthright. A life full of love, authentic connection, and fulfillment. And although this journey is deeply personal, you don't have to do it alone. We are all connected in this collective awakening, this movement of women who are reclaiming their power, healing their ancestral wounds, rewriting their narratives of love and worth. Every time a woman frees herself from her limiting patterns, she creates space for others to do the same. Every time a woman says no more to relationships that diminish her, she inspires others to do the same. Every time a woman reclaims her light, she illuminates the path for all the others. So I invite you to join this movement of healing and transformation, to commit not only to your own journey, but to that of all of us, to become a beacon of what is possible when we free ourselves from our wounds and reclaim our power. Because the world needs women who have healed their relationship with love, women who no longer confuse love with sacrifice, with self-annihilation, with smallness. Women who radiate love from their fullness and who, through that love, transform everything they touch. And I end with these words from Jung that resonate deeply with today's message. I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become. Your wound of abandonment is what happened to you, but it does not define who you are or who you can become. You are infinitely greater, more powerful, more luminous than any wound, any pattern, any limiting story. So choose healing, choose self-love, choose relationships that reflect you in your totality, not just in your wounds. Choose to become love, and always remember, I no longer chase love, I am love, and from there I choose differently. Thank you for joining me on this deep journey. If this message has touched something in you, share it with a woman you know needs it. Together we are creating a new paradigm of love, one that honors us in our fullness, one that allows us to shine in all our light. Until next time, take care of your heart with the same tenderness you would dedicate to someone you love deeply. Because you, dear one, deserve that same love you have so generously been offering to others. See you soon.